Hello, everyone, and welcome back to It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. I'm Cyrus Webb, joined by Dalsimer, the author of the book by that name. We welcome you guys tuning in on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X. Going to bring in our friends over on IG. They're already up there. And also our friends over on Amazon Live have a great message, a very timely message. Ellie and I just had a great show before this show, a great conversation. So we're excited about being able to have one with you guys for sure. And we're now live on the Amazon Live program with It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. If you guys are new to us on Amazon, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button. I want to thank you guys once again. Thanks to you, we've begun 2026 as number two of the top media shows here on Amazon. I really appreciate all of that support. If you're not following us already, make sure you guys hit that follow button either here in this corner or down below. You also will see Allie's book. You can get it in print, the Kindle audiobook as well. Have a timely message for you guys today that I hope will be able to help you guys as you're rounding off your week, but also thinking about the days ahead. Allie, my friend, how you doing?
I am hanging in there. It's Friday, 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 right?
It is. It is Friday for sure.
Yeah.
Allie, we have a great message for today. We're going to get into that here in just a bit. But I want to say I got a lot of great responses on my Facebook page last week from us being back. So I'm excited about us being able to be back. You and I have always have great conversations, whether we're talking about the show like this or just ourselves. What was it like for you coming back and to start this final season?
Oh, it was in some ways, it was almost like diving in like we hadn't left it
Yeah.
at all, like picking up right away. And in other ways, because there's been just so much that has happened in a relatively short time in both of our lives and in the world in general, it also felt like opening a whole new chapter, like really seeing things with a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
So kind of a yin and yang, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was excited about it for sure because I had gone back through and kind of read where we're going to be going as we're wrapping up your book in season three. It was great for me to be able to be back with you to kind of talk about it. And one thing that was interesting for me, Allie, as it is for me today, is that because you've written this book now, it's been a few years since you actually wrote this,
Mhm.
being able to now revisit it. I'm curious about the Allie Dalsimer of today and how she feels about what she wrote, but also anything she would add. I Candy, I love that name. Hello to you over there on IG. Good to see you. I think it's pronounced Avant. Hello to you as well over there on IG. Glad you could join us. If you guys have any questions or comments for Allie or myself, make sure you guys put those in the chat. We have the chat open on all the platforms. Before we get into today's message, Allie, I do want to ask you though about again the title of the book for those who are new, because
Mhm.
I tell people with every time we do anything, there's always going to be new people say, "What is this?" It's okay not to be fabulous every day. Talk to us about how that is not just a book title for you, but how it's become a part of your mantra for life.
Yeah. Yeah. So, originally that title came because I had run for public office. And in doing that, or as you know, because you're so public facing, you have to be on all the time. You can't show up in the public and say, I'm grumpy today. That
Yeah.
doesn't work. You have to be on, you have to stay on message, you have to have positivity and hope and really try to bring people together in as much as you can. And it can be really tough because behind the scenes, we're no different than any other person. We have our own ups and downs in lives. We have family issues or housing issues or whatever it is,
Mhm.
bad weather, flat tires, who knows, anything. And it's something that kind of coupled with being exposed to social media in a very big way for the first time, because I hadn't really been on social media very much prior to that. Everybody is showing you their great side, their fabulous, amazing sides, and it's so much pressure. I mean, who
Mhm.
can be all that every day? You have to have
Yeah.
some time to rest. You have some time to just be down. And I feel like there's a lot of societal pressure that says, no, you have to be on, you have to be fabulous every day. And I thought, you know what? It's okay not to be fabulous every day. It's okay to need a pause. It's okay to need a break. It's okay to need a hug, you know?
Mhm.
And so that's really the genesis of the title, was to give permission for each of us to allow ourselves grace and space and comfort and kindness.
Yeah. I thought about it. I didn't mention it to you before we went live because I wanted to be fresh and have a fresh reaction from the question when I asked it.
Mhm.
Allie, the thing I thought about too when I was, as I mentioned, I was when I we had set up this season, I went and read, the 10 weeks that we're going to be talking about basically in this, and I thought to myself another interesting thing, and it goes into today's message actually, and that is it's permission for ourselves, but also it's a reminder, I think, for other people to know that we can't expect people to be their best every day either, right? I think that is sometimes we have certain people we expect that they're never supposed to have a bad day, that they're always supposed to be just what we need them to be. And I think this reminds me of the fact that even for other people to think about, okay, you know what? Maybe that person isn't going to be the person I would love for them to be today or used to, and knowing that that's what they need for that time. What has that been like for you? How has it helped you to give other people grace and knowing the same thing about them?
I love that you took that from the book. I think that that's a lovely reflection of yourself
Mhm.
and the kindness that you have for other people, because not everybody gets that from the book, right? And there are a lot of people who are really self-involved, who don't really project those types of uh, sympathies
Mhm.
or empathies on others. And I love that you took that from the book. And it is important because while you can't control other people's behavior, you can absolutely control how you behave towards other people.
Right.
And too many of us are impatient or rude or whatever. You don't know what's going on with, you know, the store clerk who is rude to you, or,
Right.
you know, the person who is driving 20 miles an hour in a 45 zone on the road. You don't know what's going on with that person. And anger should not be the very first reaction you have. Let's
Right.
have a little compassion for other people. And there's a lot of strife in the world right now. There are a lot of people who are having a very hard time,
Yeah.
and they don't need your anger on top of everything else.
Right. Right. Yeah, and it is something I literally thought about it, Allie, because I thought that, especially for people who wear a lot of titles, who wear the title of parent, who
Hmm.
wear the title of caregiver, right? Or someone
Yeah.
who's in a position where even at their job, they're expected to always be, the person who has the answers or to be, that person. And I think remembering that we all kind of need that grace, not only for ourselves, but also toward other people, I think is so important for sure. You mentioned, of course, running for office. That's going to tie into today's message. I think about too, Allie, with you in this book, and it's so interesting because when you and I first set up to do this show with the first season, we didn't know for one there would be 3 seasons. We didn't know that. Well, I didn't know that that there would be 3 seasons. But I will say this, and I thought about this today. We also get different facets of Allie Dalsimer in this book too, and this chapter is another example of that. What was that like for you to think about that? We do see different, as I was just mentioning, different titles that we carry. We see that for you in this book too.
Yeah, yeah, that was a tough thing, actually. That was something that I thought about when so for people who don't know, I originally wrote the book as life advice for my kids. They encouraged me to publish it. And so I did, and I put it out there. But the biggest worry that I had, because it is a very personal book,
Right.
is that I was exposing so much of myself. And I, like so many others, hide behind a facade. I've always hidden behind the facade of competency and whatever. And, I really do open myself up. I'm a multifaceted, complicated person,
Hmm.
just like everybody else.
Yes.
People are complicated and multifaceted,
Yeah.
and we are not one thing or another, even if we may seem one thing or another to a specific individual or group.
Right.
And the reason that I finally agreed to put it out there is because I really wanted people to view themselves through their own lens by seeing my examples. So they could see that I had suffered grief or loss or joy, and then reframe that in terms of their own lives and their own experiences.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you did. Hello to you, Real Lady Extreme over there on IG. She says she is so encouraging. Great
Mhm.
book. Thank you. So glad that you're
Thank
enjoying it as
you.
well. I think that's a great lead in then to Allie to our message for today. I'm going to turn it over to you. And today's message is a really good one. Mean people suck.
Mean
For those of you,
people do suck.
yeah. And for those who have their copy of the book, it's on page 89. And you can be able to follow along. But Allie, I want to turn it over to you.
All right. Mean people suck. Facts. During my campaign, one of my opponent's followers began trolling me on Twitter, posting inaccurate information about me and my political positions. I DM'd him, offering to discuss his concerns. He replied with more pretense and false accusations. After he bombed an online meet and greet, subjecting our participants to loud, heavy metal music accompanied by a hardcore pornographic video, I moved on. This was not a person interested in dialogue or understanding. He wanted nothing more than to foment havoc and misery. Here's the truth: bringing others down will not lift you up. That is not how the universe works. When you engage with people who are mean or oblivious to other people and their needs, or who gloomily see dark clouds, never able to find a silver lining, you allow their hate, solipsism, and pessimism to penetrate and pervade your psyche. Don't let these negative people drag you down into their dark abyss. Release them and move on. Even if the process is frustrating or scary, it's important to fill our lives with light and love, to spend time with those who want the best for us, and to immerse ourselves in situations that nourish and elevate us. People are mean because, at their core, they either don't believe in themselves or they are afraid. Whether they are aware of it or not, their inner fears and self loathing drive them to behave in ways that are destructive, selfish, callous, and belittling. Ignore them. You are better than they are because you know who you are and what you want. And you know you don't have to pull others down to lift yourself up. In fact, you'll find it's very satisfying to ignore your detractors as you journey towards your destiny. As Old Blue Eyes once said, the best revenge is massive success.
Yeah, so much in this message, Allie, but there's three things I want to highlight here. But I want to first say, for those who are just tuning in, welcome. You all are watching It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. It's the book by my co-host, Allie Dalsimer. Brittany and Seth Wilson, hello to you over there on Amazon. Thank you so much for the follow. Really appreciate that. And Allie's book is one that not only chronicles her own journey in life, some great life lessons, but also, as you can see in today's message, some great reminders for us all. So if you guys have any questions or comments for Ellie, make sure you guys put those in the chat. But Ellie, the first thing I wanted to mention that you said that I thought was really great, and this was your realization about this irritant that you were dealing with. You wrote that he wanted nothing more than to foment havoc and misery, and this is after you made the comment this was not a person interested in dialogue, understanding. I want to talk about the moment because I think all of us know what that's like to have someone in our life. Unfortunately, sometimes it may be even be a family member or someone we call a friend, who it's very obvious they're not looking for a solution. They're just are they want to they're down and they want to bring everything down with them.
Mhm.
What was that realization like for you, that that was a situation that you could not handle?
Yeah, it was I'll be honest, I felt overwhelming sadness. I just felt so sad because
Mhm.
here was someone who clearly didn't understand who I was or what my positions were, and was putting all this stuff out there. And I thought, oh, he just doesn't understand. So let me talk with him. And I didn't reply publicly or,
Mhm.
try to make a big deal out of it. I DM'd him. And I was like, you said this. I'm like, this is my actual position. This is where I stand. I'd love to talk with you about it, and blah, blah, blah. And he ignored me and made more posts. And I replied back. I was like, if you want to talk about this, I'm happy to. And he just had no interest. He ended up replying to me and saying, calling me a liar, and I don't know, some other lovely names, I'm sure. And it was just, I just felt so sad. I felt so sad that here was someone who is so miserable in his own life that
Mm.
he needs to try and alleviate his misery by putting it on other people.
Yeah.
That was that was what I felt in the moment. My son, on the other hand, was livid. He was furious. He was angry on my behalf, but I
Yeah.
didn't feel anger. I just truly felt so just heartbroken that he was such a broken person that he would feel the
Yeah.
need to do this.
Yeah. And that leads me to the second thing, Alan. This is where I think we can really help some people is today in particular, because
Mhm.
there is, as you mentioned, so much happening in the world. People can see things that are happening that are hurtful or sad. And as you mentioned, you felt the sadness. What kept you from taking in that sadness and making it your own? And what would you say to our audience about how they can do what you say, which is to be able to let people go, to basically to move on? That's that, I mean, we know that's what we should do. It's not always easy to do. What helped you not to take on that sadness and that feeling? And what would you say to our audience about what can help them in doing that if they face a similar situation?
Well, there's two different things. So, one is that I didn't know this person. He was a stranger to me. I had no emotional connection with him whatsoever. And I truly did everything I could in terms of reaching out and whatever. Was I reached out to him multiple times, and so it was easy for me to let him go. I
Mhm.
did what I could. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. There was no bond. Um, I've had people in my life that I have been close to, that I've known for a long time, and and there have been those who also not so actively or maliciously brought me down, but or tried to bring me down, but who's would make maybe negative comments or slight comments. The friend who's like, "Wow, you did really great," given an undercut.
Right.
People who you think are your friends, or maybe even in your family, who somehow make you feel bad all the time.
Yeah.
That's where it gets tough, right? That's where it's tough to let those people go. And I've done that as well. And
Yeah.
it's not so much, I'm never looking at you again, I'm never seeing you again. It's more, I'm not going to share my deepest, darkest desires with you. I'm not going to tell you my dreams and hopes and aspiration. I'll discuss the weather or a sports team with you.
Right.
Um, and also I'm going to limit the amount of time I spend with you. I'm not going to join you for that happy hour. I'm not going to invite you to lunch anymore. Maybe I'll see you if I see you at an event, kind of thing.
Right.
And that's a trickier situation when there are people in your close circle, longtime friend, family member, sibling, um, who maybe don't have your best interests at heart, or who maybe don't want the best for you, or who maybe do but don't know how to do it and don't elevate you and instead bring you down.
Yeah.
And that's harder, but that is also more important, because those relationships have claws. They get into you. They have
Yeah.
longevity. And that's where you'll get the greatest bang for your buck, by trying to um, put yourself first in terms of mental, physical, and emotional health.
Yeah, such a great point. Hey, Stacy, good to be to see you over there on Facebook. The Real Lady Extreme says there are so many people that do this. They don't really want dialogue; they just want to be angry. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think too, Real Lady Extreme. I would add this: they want other people to share that same anger. They want other
Yeah.
people to. They don't like seeing other people happy, and that's why what you wrote is so powerful, Allie. And I'm curious, what helped you to get here? Because you wrote, don't let these negative people drag you down into their dark abyss. Release them and move on. What helped you to get to a place where you had the courage to do that?
Well, thanks for the way you worded that question. That was very nice. I like to think of myself as a courageous person.
You are.
Um, I'll bless you. I'll be honest. I don't. I think it has to do a lot with the training that I've received, the studies that I've done. I was a
Mm.
psych major in school, and I've kept up, and I read psychological studies. Dorky like that. I just do. They interest me. But that's the whole. I went through a whole phase where I was very fascinated by cults and gangs,
Mm.
and it really boils down to people join cults. They join gangs, whether they're violent or not. Um, they join them because they feel displaced, they feel disaffected, they
Yeah.
feel angry, they feel hurt, they want to rebel, they are looking for like-minded people, and
Mhm.
those like-minded people come together. and they form these groups. And um, all of them at the core feed on people's insecurities and their sense of injustice and give them an ear. It's kind of a lowest common denominator thing.
Yeah.
So for me, it wasn't so hard trying to recognize it. The devil's in the details, right? It came in the implementation of it for me
Okay.
personally. And I think that's where it does come in for a lot of people. But the
Yeah.
first thing is recognizing that disaffected people like to band together for
Yeah.
negative purposes.
Yeah. And that leads me to the third thing then, Allie, I wanted to mention from this that was a takeaway for me and I think would be great for audience. You say this, giving us, I think, for one, the reminder about who we are and living up to that. Because you say this, you are better than they are because you know who you are and what you want, and you know you don't have to pull others down to lift yourself up. I love the way you phrased it because it's almost like you're encouraging us to be the person we want others to think we are, right? Because otherwise, we're no better than they are. I love the fact that you say you are better than they are. So, talk to us about that optimism and what you hope our audience takes from that, Allie, about remembering their own goodness and realize that they don't have to be negative in order to be able to make an impact.
The subtitle of the book is A Journey to Self Discovery. And if you started this book at the beginning and went through the journey, by the time you get to this chapter, you will know who you are. You will at least understand how to find where you are. And you'll understand what success means. And success means, being happy with who you are, what you're doing, and who you're doing it with, right? And so by this point in your journey, you know you know that you are better than they are because you know who you are and what you want. And you have come to understand that you are worthy, that your dreams are worthwhile, and that it is okay for you to pursue them.
Yeah.
And once we know that, we can do anything.
Yeah. There's that permission slip again. It's okay.
Mhm.
And I think that's the thing. And the thing I would only add, Allie, is that we have to make the choice.
We do. Choice
And
is a
that yeah,
significant part of it. There's a whole
yeah.
section on that, right?
Mhm, yeah, we have to make the choice. We can't allow them because of what others are doing or because of circumstances, because it's not always it may just be something that may be out of your control, but you still have the choice on how you're going to react to it and
Mhm.
let it impact you in your life, and I think that's what makes this lesson so good.
Yeah,
Again,
but
everyone Yeah, I'm
oh,
sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
I was
No,
just
no,
gonna
go ahead.
say, yeah, but
Yeah,
it's what is important also to remember is that it's not always easy, right?
right.
Like we all have to sort of relearn that lesson continually. I went out, in fact, about a month ago, well, 3 weeks ago, I went out with someone and I found myself falling into some old behaviors and habits that I have where I tended
Mhm,
to put myself down, just little comments, sort of that negative self-talk that
yeah,
that is so devastating.
mm,
And I had to actively be like, you know what? I'm literally doing this. I have fallen back into this behavior because I've fallen back into this with this person. And so it's really important that we pay attention to what's going on a daily basis. It's not a one and done. You don't get there and you're like, poof, I did it. It's done. It's a continual effort and it gets easier and easier and you move more and more forward. But it's two steps forward, one step back, and you keep going. And eventually you start to recognize it earlier and earlier. And then you can really just feel good about who you are and what you're doing and who you're doing it with.
yeah. And I would just mention too, Allie, that I think if we're able to keep making those steps, then regardless of what people say, like in the situation that you went through, you will have a clearer sense of who you are. For one, you won't embrace that and take that in, but you also be able to realize that you can keep moving forward in spite of that. And I think again, that's it. All of us I have heard some of the most successful authors and even actors talk about everyone can praise them, but they get that one comment and it makes them doubt everything.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we all just have to remind ourselves of who we are. That's a great
Mhm.
line from Black Panther, "Show them who you are." I mean, and I
Yep.
think we all have to be able to do that. Thank you for that, Stace. Appreciate it. Again, everyone, It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day is the book. Make sure you guys do get your copy. Now is a perfect time to be to get one for yourself, but also for a friend as well. These are great conversation starters, but also gives you a way to be able to not only remind yourself of what you can do, but also give you some of the tools to help you out. Allie, another great show. Let them know how to stay connected with you and how to sign up for your newsletter too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks so much. You can find me on socials. I'm most active on Instagram. You can go to my YouTube station and see my various things there. Yeah, sign up for my newsletter. I'm switching formats. So it's going to come out weekly and it's going to be author news one week. And then the next week, it's going to be 5 minutes of fabulosity, where I provide tools and
Mm,
resources, tips and tricks for how to deal with life's ups and downs. And if you do get the book, reach out and let me know what you think. I'd really love to hear from you.
love that. Jeremy Spalding, hello to you over there on IG. Glad you can join. If you guys came in late and I see you guys over there on YouTube, don't worry. The replay of this will be up. Allie, my friend, great show. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. I look forward to seeing you as well. And thanks to everybody for tuning in today.
Exactly. And we thank you all as well. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.